Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax, and let's chat about what's going on up in the sky. What a night it was last night. I am hoping that wherever you are in this lovely world of ours, that you happen to go outside after sunset and to see the planet Jupiter and to be able to sort of visualize. You could really literally connect with what was going on in the sky with Jupiter on one side, the sun on the other, and the earth passing right between the two. I mean, it was so obvious to me last night. I was just sitting there in awe. Jupiter's literally on Wednesday, the closest that it comes to the planet Earth. And so it looks large and it looks nearly as bright as Venus, except Venus is the morning star right now. Jupiter is the one that's at night. So if you look off into what was my southeastern sky as the sun goes down today or tomorrow, and you'll still be able to see it for the rest of the month likely. You're going to get that visual of the sun has just set, Jupiter is just rising, and the earth is planted right between the two. Fabulous, fabulous. I just was in awe as I was watching that occur last night. So good morning to everybody that's popping in. It's great to see you. You might notice my hair is wet and I have no eye makeup on because it is allergy season. And I just can't. My eyes keep tearing, and to put mascara on there just means that I add burning to the to the whole mix, and they burn on their own without that. So yeah, you get me dressed down today, and it doesn't change my enthusiasm for astrology, and it certainly doesn't change the information that I have for you today. It just makes me look different, and I'm sort of stuffed up and I should have listened to my husband and started taking Claritin sooner. I didn't start doing that until this weekend. So, oh well, it'll be over soon enough. Um, this morning, I have had several ahas going like water shedding. I don't know if you guys ever have times like that in your life where it's like one thing after another just pops in, pops out, the next one pops in, and then the next one pops in. And, before you know it, they're all building on something. And it just feels like you've had this massive aha. And this has been happening to me actually since Saturday actually is when this began, and it continued through the weekend. And yesterday was another component of that, as I took the words of the astrologer to heart, and I didn't force anything in the void of course moon. And what happened was I happened upon another book, love books, that I happened to have sitting here that I got back in April that I hadn't read. And it was before April because it was before I went on the cruise to the Caribbean with Debbie. And it was sitting here and I thought, I can't wait till I get back so I could pick this book up and read it. Well, 2 months later, I finally picked this book up, and woohoo, craziness, right? Now, craziness for me means that it's like bringing like 15 or 20 different ideas together and coalescing my knowledge into a new total package. And some of you who I've talked to about dimensional astrology, the certification program that I'm starting on, the excitement that I had about bringing all of these things together and to be able to teach other people how to bring these things together, not only for themselves, but for their clients or for their family, their friends, the people that they work with in the world. So there's more being added to this total package as I'm moving along this week. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that, I don't know, my birthday's next week. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's Mercury and Mars building together and creating these openings. Maybe it's the fact that Mars is sitting at the gate 53, new beginnings. I don't know, but it's actually pretty interesting to watch as this happens and as these things come together. And of course, you get to benefit by that because I play them off of you all, right? I can't just sit here and just look at my own chart because that's kind of boring after a while, right? And besides that, there's never going to be a time when I look at my own chart and can clear up everything that I see there. But I can do that for other people. I'm my own blind spot, right? Where for you guys, it's different, right? I just tap right on in. So today, Originally, I sat down this morning and I went, oh, damn, there's nothing happening today, right? The moon is in Libra, it's squaring Mercury and Mars. Woohoo! Right? I can get that done in 5 minutes and we're done. And then what am I going to do? So then I realized, oh, yeah, but Mars and Mercury are doing this dance. And oh, yeah, there's these new things I could tell you about. And oh, yeah, today's a one day in the Pleiadian Earth energy calendar. And there's plenty of things that we can talk about. So let me just say a quick good morning to the people who are checking in with us. Good morning, Mimi. Allergies are rough. Feel better quickly. I can't even tell you what it is, except there's a lot of hay fields around that have been mowed recently. And I think I have genuine hay fever. And it just drives me crazy when that happens. And the wind was picked up yesterday, blowing probably all that stuff right at me. The other day, last week, when my car was bright yellow from all the pollen, it didn't seem to bother me. So whatever was in the air last week didn't get me. But this week's a different story. Good morning, Ashley. It's great to see you. And you're new, right? Because I just remembered doing your human design chart yesterday. Good morning, Elisa. It's great to see you. Colleen and Michelle Gay and Lynn Goldberg. Great to see you, ladies. And I'm sure more people will be popping in. I would love it if someone today will tell me if they're noticing me popping in and out again, because I complained yesterday to Be Live and they said that it was an issue between Be Live and Facebook. And they gave me some hints about what to do with my computer to make it easier. And I did that. So I want to see if that makes a difference today. So let's pop in here. Moon in Libra today. And, the moon in Libra is all about seeking harmony and balance. So in our lives, we are coming to a point of equilibrium, or at least the moon is triggering our feelings to try to come into harmony or some form of balance. However, remember in the broadcast yesterday, I showed you the picture of where the moon would be squaring the planet Mars and Mercury over in Cancer, and then Pluto, Saturn, and the South Node over in Capricorn. Well, that is still in effect, right? And it's not quite exact yet. It'll be exact tomorrow, but today it's building up. So there's a disturbance in the force, right? There's a disturbing feeling moving through, rippling through our world that is upsetting that a balance or that equilibrium. The bottom line is then we are working harder to keep things in sort of an emotional feel good space. And there's nothing ideally wrong with that. It's not that that's wrong. It's that we got to look a little bit below the surface to see what it is that is disturbing our peace. What is it about our feelings? What is it about our interactions with one another? Remember, Libra, moon in Libra, is a relationship sign. And that means it may be playing out in our interpersonal relationships, our friends, our spouses, our girlfriends or boyfriends. It's going to play out likely in the relationship field. Your coworkers, we're in the, middle of the work week. So it could play out, at work in the dynamics of the people in your world. And so it pays to really look deeper when you get triggered by something, when something upsets that balance and moves you into, a feeling of not being at peace. But also to look at what it is that may take you to the opposite point, the point of feeling really good, right? So many times I come on here in the morning and, a lot of times we are expressing the shadows, but what if we're not? What if we're expressing the joyful part of this? Like I feel like right now I'm expressing the joyful part of that. What is it that triggered that? I want more of that, right? So it pays to be able to see both the shadow and the gift or the highest expression of any energy. And wherever you are in that, it's not wrong or right. It's perfect, but it's also perfect for you to be able to look at, how did I get here? What got me here? And, be conscious then, and be conscious and choose what you do to get yourself back into that feel good state. So we're in feel good state, but we also have some challenges. The moon today is squaring both Mercury and Mars that are very close to a conjunction with each other in the sign of Cancer. And I thought it was interesting to take a look at this through human design. And that's because human design gives me words, right? It gives me it gives me actual words besides just this mechanical connection between these planets that says, hey, Moon in Libra, feelings going to be stirred up by Mercury and Mars in a square to Libra. And it's possible that I'm going to speak out and say things that are confrontational. It could be that my mind is stirred up and scattered or excited or irritated, or I'm irritable. So, I could say that, right? That's there. But I want to look deeper. I want to look at what the human design gates that these two planets are sitting at to help me help you get through these next couple of days. And it turns out that Mercury, and I knew, of course, this was happening, that Mercury is now sitting at the gate 39, provocation. And remember, last week we talked about Mars being at that gate, provocation, where there's things that are poking us. Or we are doing the poking, one or the other's happening. Either you've poked somebody and they've responded back and it didn't turn out very pretty, or maybe it did. Maybe it prompted a huge release of energy between the two of you, because provocation is about waking up. It is about the fact that I can, or you can, see something in other that provokes them onto an awakening. It provokes that energy that is sitting pen's rolling down my shirt. It provokes the energy to move, right? So I'm going to show you a human design chart really quickly. Here's the human design chart from yesterday. Remember, yesterday we were all reflectors. Well, today's not any different, right? Today's the same chart, just the moon's in two different gates today, but it's literally the same chart. And the gate of provocation sits down here, gate 39, right here. And the provocation comes from the root center, the center for impulse energy. And it's moving it up through to the solar plexus. It's just waiting for someone with a gate 55 to connect up to it. And it creates this idea of being abundant and being free to be abundant, right? We're free to be abundant. And we're being provoked to move toward that end, right? That's what the hanging gate, this is an hanging gate, right? Because if you take a look, see, it's just hanging there. It's not connected up to anything, because if it was, these two centers would be turned on and they would be in color, but they're not, they're white. So this gate is hanging here, and it's hanging here with the planet Mercury. So we're being provoked by words. We're being provoked by thoughts, right? Because Mercury, the planet, is ruling our mind and our speech. So what we're thinking, and then how we say what we are thinking, right? So, and then you're more aware, so you may be able to temper what you're thinking or saying in response to what you're thinking, but other people may not, right? And then it's those other people that could cause the trigger or the provoking that sends you onto the journey looking for, how do I become free from this? Okay. Good morning, Vanita. We haven't seen you in a couple days. It's good to see you. And Serena, good to see you. And let's see, we've got a couple of comments here. Sarah says, yes, feelings have been building and patience has been tested in the sense of others' safety at work, and others' friends' well-being and health, where I am just stepping in and taking action. Interesting. And Ashley says, sometimes for people with allergies, if you buy and eat a tablespoon of local honey every day, it helps. I always forget that. Thank you, Ashley. Something about the bees in that area doing the pollinating are the key. And I have a big bottle of honey sitting there, made here in Washington State, where I am, and could do that. Exactly. Good morning, Linda. She says, you look wonderful with your wet hair and no makeup. You're so sweet. There's just no way, because if I put makeup on, I even have my mascara sitting here waiting for me. I was going to put it on, but I'd have black running down my face. There's just no way today is going to be that day. So guess what? It is no makeup day. Well, I have lipstick on, but that's it. All right. So let's get back to where the planets Mercury and Mars are sitting today. So Mercury has taken up residence at 39, which is provocation. What we're saying and what our minds are thinking are provoking us to move toward the spirit of abundance, provoking us to move to freedom. right? That's the big words there. In Gene Keys, remember the gate 55 is the only one that has the gift and the siddhi at the same word, freedom. Freedom, freedom, right? In the lower expression, it is victimization or being the victim. So initially, in provoking or being provoked, the other person or even yourself, you may feel like a victim, but this is where you're being provoked to move on up that ladder to freedom, right? You're being provoked to release and to move forward in toward freedom. Now, Mars, on the other hand, is not, they're not quite in an exact conjunction yet, right? Mercury is still lagging about a day behind Mars here. So while Mercury is at 39, Mars is taking up residence at gate 53. Now, gate 53 is also a gate that sits on the root center. It is right here. Let me get it in closer. You can see gate 53. And it is a gate that's leading up to the sacral. So the sacral center here is the center for action, right? It's the energy, it is literally the motor of doing. And so we have something here that we're being provoked or pushed or impulsed or causing us to do something. And that gate is the gate of new beginnings. And it is literally about expansion through a new beginning. It is about choosing something, a direction, a job, a possibility, a program, a relationship, and I can go on, that is going to have new energy, right? The injection of new energy is here at that gate. And this is about not succumbing to unbridled growth or expansion, but expanding into the right things. So my guess is that there have been a lot of opportunities that have popped up in people's fields, whether it's an opportunity to be something more, to do something more, to go somewhere, to, whatever it is that's popping up new in your field, it is the potential route for expansion for you. And so it is up to you then to take a really good hard look at what is going on. Actually, I don't want you to take a hard look. I want you to take an easy look at what is opening up for you. And you get into your body and feel the direction. Where is it taking you? Gate 53, where Mars is sitting and where Mercury and Mars will conjunct tomorrow or the next day and the next day, has an interesting word in its highest expression, and that is superabundance. Superabundance. Look it up in the Gene Keys book, gate 30 or gate 53. The highest expression of a new beginning and that impulse to expansion is superabundance. I love it, don't you? Superabundance. It's like having a superpower, and it's superabundance is your superpower. So that's what we're getting to right now. Right. And that's why if you're feeling that optimism growing, if you're feeling like the world is going to be okay, it is this feeling, this impulse to begin something new that is going to be a direction that suits you personally. It's going to be different for me, from you, from anybody else in your family, but the opportunity is there. Don't dissipate your energy then fighting against the flow. Right? Don't try to dig in your heels and stick, be a stick in the mud when your heart and your body and your energy wants to pull you in a new direction. Listen to that, right? Listen to that. What is in the stubbornness? What is holding there for you? What is causing you to dissipate that energy of new beginning? But on the other hand, remember, we're talking frequency. So we have the overabundance energy, which might be taking on way too much. And we could have the under, which is holding on and fighting the flow and not going anywhere. Those are the two extremes. But right here in the middle is this potential for expansion through new beginnings. Gotta love it, right? Questions, anybody? Type them in there if you have questions. I want to give you some new definitions today too. And this is partly out of reading that I did this weekend and just these aha watershed moment things that were happening to me yesterday, along with this morning where I was called to share this with you. Now, every one of you has seen, hopefully, has seen a human design chart, whether it's your own or from the ones that I share in the mornings. So this is what your basic human design looks like. It is the same design for everybody, right? The same gates in the centers. What's different for you versus what's different for me is how the gates are aligned. Are they turned on? Are these centers colored in? Are they connected? Do they have this is a transit chart. So it's really just showing us the hanging gates, the black gates, the moment now, right? It's called a just now chart. So it's giving us the energy of right now. And that means there's no red in this chart, as opposed to a regular human design chart, which you might have gotten that has the two columns, right? The red column, which is the design column, and the black column, which is the personality column. And as I've told you guys before, let me write this here so you guys can see this. This one side, the black side, is your soul purpose. These are the things that came with you from the moment of conception. At the moment the sperm and egg came together and formed a new embryo, you were imbued with this energy. Right? This is you. This is your personality crystal. This is the you that doesn't change. Then on the other side is the red column, which is more of your life purpose. And this particular part, the life purpose, life purpose side, I always feel such like a dork here. Life purpose side in the red is the design, and it was based on a date that's astrologically 88 degrees before you were born or 90 days before you were born. And that gives us your design. This is the part of yourself that you don't see clearly, that you would be moving toward in this lifetime. These are the things that will connect up and will create connections with other people that help you see yourself more clearly. You know how people sometimes we say other people will see us more clearly than we see ourselves. That's why, right? Everybody has their own life purpose side. We're here to be in relationship with one another. And it's through relationship that we're able to see the higher potential that we personally have in expressing the traits brought to us through our designs and based in our soul purpose. I hope that makes sense for people. I'm going to give you something else to look or think about here. This black column, oops, yeah. I'm writing all over my own chart, I just realized. It's a good thing I have a printer and I can print more. So the black column then is the mind. Now think about the implications of that. If the soul purpose is linked with the mind and it was connected at the moment of conception, doesn't that make sense now? Right? The mind, what your mind and your soul purpose were going to be focused on was set at the moment of conception. The other column, oops, over this way, is the body. And the body, the life purpose, is where your body, used as a compass, will pull you to being in the right place at the right time with the right people for the right opportunities. And it is something that you discover as time goes on, not something that you necessarily it's there with you. It's not like it's missing. It's there with you, but it's a process of discovery. Everybody's quiet out there. I hope you're learning something here. Now, I'm going to blow your mind a little further. So the human design chart is the same for everybody, where everything is, but what's expressed is different. So today, anybody being born would look sort of like this, right? Where in my own chart, I look like this, right? And in your own chart, you have varying degrees of color and stripes and black and red that really tell the tale of who you are and who you're here to be. But we're all different, but the design is the same for everyone. We all have all of the design, right? We are all complete. It's just a difference about how it is that you're going to express yourself. So here's how I want you to think of this. Think of humanity as a crystal, humanity as a collective, as a crystal that at the moment of the Big Bang was shattered into billions of pieces, all of them representing a piece of the whole, but are still a part of the whole, right? So if you have this giant crystal amethyst, let's say, and you drop it and it breaks, all those little pieces are still amethyst, but they have their own now shape. They have their own qualities, right? They have their own uniqueness, but they're still a part of the bigger picture. So we are all a part of this bigger picture, shattered into what would become our individual expression of who we are, that we can chart and look at through our own personal human design charts. Hope that makes sense. And more. Astrology helps us get there. Human design helps us get there. Gene Keys takes us deeper. And their Pleiadian earth energy tells us how to live in a more consciously evolving way. So we have many tools, right, that help us bring this crystal back together, or help us live out our piece of that big design crystal. Okay. Now I'm going to blow you away a little bit further. Now I'm going to give you some new words. Now, some of you are new and this may all be alien to you, and I understand that. I get that. Just hang with us. Don't get frustrated. Just take it in. Ask questions. If you have questions, you can email them to me. You can ask here in the chat. You can get your own personal reading, and we can make this come clearer, of course, over time. Now, for every one of you who's had a reading with me or who's coached with me, you know what those energy centers, these things are all called energy centers. I don't want to peek at that one yet. These are all called energy centers. And each energy center has a frequency or an energy that we associate with it. Based on this model, with the head center, the top one, is the center for ideas and inspiration. The second center down is the center for knowingness. It is memory, data, the mind. It's where we really think of as the mind, comparing and contrasting, pulling up memories, analyzing, etc. The third center down is the throat center. In human design, we think of that as the gearbox, where we want to get the energy from the head centers down to the throat and the body centers up to the throat for manifesting and communicating. Then we have the identity center, which is the seat of the soul or the identity. Then we have the ego center, also called the heart center. We have the emotional solar plexus. We have the sacral, which is an energy center. We have the spleen, which is the center for time, intuition, health, and survival. And then we have the root center, and the root center being the center that sends up impulses of energy from our interface with the planet Earth, where the head center is bringing in ideas. Its interface is with spirit. So it's bringing things into us. So I'm going to give you a new working definition for some of these centers, and it's going to make so much sense to you. The head center becomes the center for solving, right? Solving these gates, 64, 63, or 64, 61, and 63 are gates that help us manage the transmission that's coming in. The energy, the thoughts, the patterns, the information coming into us from spirit or from, the unseen realm comes into the head center as ideas or inspiration, and we begin the process of solving. Initially, we can greet it with confusion, with mystery and awe, or with doubt, right? That's those three gates. And then it brings it down into the center of knowing. This center, the mind, the ajna, is about knowing. And knowing here, these gates take this information, the solving information, and begin to move it through and into different ways, breaking it into different parts. And here we have the aha or epiphany. Here we have rational thinking. Here we have answers. Here we have opinions. Here we have breakthroughs. And here we have ideas, further ideas. When we move it down to the throat center then becomes the center for sharing everything that we know, and then everything up from later in the lower in the body, everything that we want to do. So this energy here in the throat center is very important for sharing. The middle one, the diamond, the only one that's a diamond shape in the whole of the human design, is about love. There are 4 gates that represent love: love of the body, love of the self, love of humanity, and the love of spirit all sit on that center. It's a love center. The love center is also cued into timing and rhythm. Then we have the center over here that we think of as the heart center. It's the center for desire, and then managing the resources and allocating the resources we have to fulfill our desires. So here we have the energy of shock, we have the energy of integrity, we have the energy of coming together in community, and we have the energy of managing resources, sort of being the bookkeeper, if you will, the treasurer of the energy. And then the emotional center then becomes the center for feeling. That makes perfect sense to me. That doesn't change much. Feeling and emotion. We have the energy for love here. We have the energy for war here. And these are the expressions of the emotions of love, of war, of peace or serenity, of grace or charm or not, of turbulence, chaos, of abundance, of revolution, and also finally here of desire, of getting what we love, of being in love with the things that we have, of what we desire in our lives. The sacral becomes then the center for service. What are you here to do? Right? I very quickly gave someone this morning their life purpose just by using this little chart and based on what centers they had that were defined. She had the center of love defined and the center of service defined. That's all, right? The rest of them are open. So the rest are about learning and wisdom and gathering through her life. Those two being defined said she is here to serve, doing what she loves. It was so easy. I just went, wow, that was so easy, right? The spleen then becomes the center for success, but on it, it doubles as fear, and the fear of all those things that might get in the way of our success, right? Overly perfectionistic, don't know enough. I'm afraid if I do what I want to do, I'm going to fail in my responsibilities to others. I'm afraid the past is going to repeat itself. I'm afraid of the future, et cetera, right? So this center is about success. And finally, the root center is the center for endurance. And the impulse energy, of course, for endurance is that I can stay with it. I can take something and do it. I can put my work out there. If this is defined, I have endurance. I'm meant to stick with it. Now, some of you are probably asking, oh, well, I have that one open. Does that mean I don't have endurance? Well, guess what? The planet's transit. People come into your life that give you that opportunity to stick to something, to have that endurance. Your type, your strategies, and all of that change the picture. But ultimately, this gives you a new picture of what it is that you use those energy centers for. When those and when your part of the shattered crystal becomes more apparent to you, the energy in those centers tells you what it is that you're here to do with that life purpose and that soul purpose, right? Okay. So Serena says, that's amazing. Mimi, great info, adding notes to my chart. Love it. Keep doing that. Lynn says, love everything you're talking about, making breakfast so can't interact much. Lynn, go back later. You can take notes. I mean, that's the cool thing about recordings, right? You can go back and get this information. So there's a lot here that has been crystallizing for me in terms of what a human design chart is all about. Because I gotta tell you, and I probably never shared this with anybody, not even my friends, that there was always a little bit of something about human design that stuck in my craw. That just, it felt probably the reason I began to combine different astrologies, astrology, human design, the gene keys, is because there wasn't something complete about human design. There was something that was left out. And what was left out, I think, is that it was presented in much more logical and mechanical ways when it was really meant to be much more, can I say this, much more woo-woo than that. It was much more energetically connected to who you are and what you're here to do. But I wasn't getting that from just the template that I was looking at and what I was taught and that kind of thing. There were hints of it, to be sure, but it felt like it needed to be combined with something else to get a more complete picture of who we are. And that's exactly what's happening for me, is that these things are crystallizing into dimensions, like looking at ourselves and our energy, who we are dimensionally, not just 3D, but multiple D, right? Multiple D, not even 4D, 5D. I don't even know what that means, right? Multi-dimensional beings. We're holographic. We're hologenetic, right? We have many layers. We have many dimensions to us, and we're uncovering these dimensions. That's part of our path, part of our evolution here on the planet, to uncover all of this. Mimi says, in addition to the crystal being a part of the whole, each lifetime of learning helps facet our inner being and spirit. There you go. That's a whole nother dimension to look at, a facet, right? That of each one of us. Every crystal, a diamond, has have facets, and you could look at that piece, a facet of that being a part of you from other lifetimes, and the experiences that you brought with you into the expression of you in this lifetime. So yeah. It's really huge when you start to think about things like this. And then we forget about it, right? We forget all about this in the moment of heat, or the moment of passion, the moment of anger, the moment of a trigger. So the key here is for us to keep remembering that all of that serves us. It all serves us. Even if you're struggling with something right now, even if you're upset with something, you have health issues, or you have relationship issues, job issues, money issues, all of that is about finding the right pathway through that, right? It serves the whole. It's not you being punished. It's not you being bad. It's not karmic retribution. It is really, and I mean, karma does come into play, because if there was an imbalance, maybe in other lifetimes where maybe you did something that, you have to counterbalance in this lifetime, but it's not about punishing you, right? It's not really about punishment. And that's a part of our story as well, is how do we look at reward and punishment? So interesting. I don't want to get into that debate, because, I have more to tell you about today. Okay, good, Serena. She said, this is great. I'm now understanding the chart you sent me even more. That's the whole thing, right? Reaching more and more of an understanding. Ashley, I'm so grateful to have found you. I look at astrology, numerology, human design, gene keys, tarot, and a million other things. My friends say I frazzled their minds because my mind works so differently. But your mind is working exponentially in a way to bring all of these facets together, to work dimensionally, is where we're headed, right? We've been 2D too long. We've been 3D too long, right? We can't just look at the problems of our world. We can't look at our own lives from those dimensions anymore. Einstein said it. You can't solve a problem from the level from which it was created. We created everything from this 3D. We have to be able to dimensionally see, to look back in and be able to say, oh, that's how we solve this. Oh, that's how I move forward in my life, right? So it's worthy of going through this process of learning all that you can about yourself. It is the number one reason you came here, right? That, and to serve. I would say there's also that, to serve in whatever capacity that you came here to serve. So, and that's also a part of discovery. My part of serving, and Ashley, it sounds like maybe yours is too, is I get all these new ideas and these new concepts, and I throw them out there at you, right? I formed a basis of something, some knowledge, right? And then I share that. And then a new piece comes in, and then I share that. And then another new piece comes in, and I share that. So that's my role. I know that. That's who I'm here to be. And maybe you are too, in some way, right? So your friends, they may get frazzled, but your purpose is true. Maybe you are here to provoke. Provocation could be also the word frazzle. You frazzle your friends, you provoke your friends. Maybe that's your job, right? Okay. So let's see, where else do I want to go today? I told you I also, besides that new information, I also want to give you a new astrological aspect. So remember, we've talked about aspects. Those are the things that are conjunctions, squares, trines, right? These are the ones that you're familiar with, because we talk about them all the time. Oppositions, right? Those are the more powerful aspects, and they're the ones that are more common. They're powerful and they're common, but behind those are the many, many, many aspects that are also occurring. We've talked about some of them. The sextile, the sextile is also one of the major ones, but we've talked about a semi-sextile. We've talked about an inconjunct or a quincunx. We've talked about, what was the thing we talked, a semi-square. And we talked about a sesquisquare. So we've talked about a lot of different minor aspects, because underneath it all, they're kind of like the burrs underneath the saddle, right? They're kind of irritants that are the impetus for us to move away from discomfort to comfort, right? So they're doing their job. Well, today I'm going to teach you another one. This one is called a quintile, and its alter ego is called a biquintile. And a quintile happens when we divide the astrology wheel, the 360-degree wheel, by the number 5. 5 is the number that resonates with freedom, the constructive use of freedom. It is also the pentagram. So we see how this can affect our relationships, because the pentagram is related to the planet Venus. Venus rules our money, our values, and our relationships. So where we break the chart up into 5, we get an idea then of where it is that we might have particular talents to build upon, where we may see patterns that other people don't see, right? Where we have a specific way of interacting with the world that is sort of a little bit offsides, a bit, a little different. And the quintile is a 144-degree relationship between planets, right? If I take 360 degrees and I divide it by 5, I get 144 degrees. If I divide the chart 360 degrees through a biquintile, they're 72 degrees, right? 72 degrees. So interesting, because today we have the planet Mars, which we've already talked about, Mars and Mercury close to a conjunction, Mars sitting at the gate of new beginnings in a quintile with the planet Uranus. Uranus sitting at the gate 27 in your human design, which is about nurturing something new, nurturing, taking the seed that you've planted, right? Right now it's late spring. You've probably got plants that you've planted. And what are you doing every day? You're going out there maybe and you're watering them, or you're pinching off the old blooms, making the plant, want to get bigger. You're taking care of the little seedlings or the little saplings and nurturing them to, grow up, if you will. So that's what Uranus is doing. It is nurturing the seeds of our values and making sure that we're in resonance with that through the financial systems, and also through our relationships. It's in the sign of Taurus. Taurus, ruled by Venus, also ruling our finances and our relationships. So we have our values, how we live from our truths. Okay. So when we have a quintile, then, especially Mars and Uranus, highly energetic, right? Mars, the planet of action, the warrior god, and Uranus, the one that likes to create awakening. It is the awakener. And we may find ourselves on the surprising end of something today. We may see adventure and excitement and play. We may want to trigger that on purpose, right? Today's a day to trigger those ideas of play and excitement and adventure on purpose. Otherwise, this becomes real restless energy that then creates a destructive end of things, right? So you almost have to give way to the flow of this energy. It's like takes no prisoners. And if you do make yourself a prisoner of this energy, then it becomes more destructive than constructive. And remember, 5 in numerology, for some of you who know numerology out there, 5 is the constructive use of freedom, not the destructive use of freedom. Often it gets expressed destructively at first, but we want to take this constructive use of freedom and move forward in our lives in new ways. But live from surprise, live from adventure, live from excitement, live from play in your life, as opposed to the more darker sides of this energy. Okay, let's see anybody with other comments or questions out here. Ashley. Oh, I already read that one. So here, Lynn, love how you weave everything together. I've been doing this for years as well. And also in my oracle readings, only have two defined channels. And one is the 4323. So if you have the 4323, then you've got the ajna and the throat defined, right? Is that true? So you must be a projector. And I'm trying to think back. I know I've seen your chart, but I do so many charts, I can't remember everybody's charts. So you're here then, Lynn. You're here to share what you know, your brilliance, your genius. Your only job, your only life purpose is to share your brilliance. But remembering that the throat center is one of those little tricky centers. It's very projector-like and works best with an invitation. So you work best when you have a client sitting in front of you, when you've been invited to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your oracle readings, your whatever it is that you have, your wisdom that you want to share, your brilliance, your genius. That's that's your life purpose. It's so easy when you look at it that way, right? Everything else is just window dressing, right? You're complete. Right? You have everything else. But it's almost like if you looked at this from a 3D standpoint or a 4D standpoint, I can't remember what that would be, those two centers would stand out, the ajna and the throat, because they're connected, as the ones that you needed to focus on in this lifetime, while what's going on in the rest is all transitory. Right? It's based on who you're in your life with at that moment. It's based on where planets are transiting, and it changes day by day. But what you can always guarantee is that you are here to share your brilliance. You are here to communicate and share your knowledge, your wisdom, your brilliance, your genius. It's really easy when you have only two centers. It gets more complicated. What if you were someone that had all 9 energy centers defined? Complicated. Right? That is a complicated person. They are broadcasting on all channels, but they know who they are. Right? They don't have instances of the open channels or the open centers creating a muck up of it and questioning, calling into question, what am I here to do? Am I really meant to do this? Is this where, because their centers are all defined. So they have their own issues, right? They have a different set of issues. So Ashley is saying she has 7 of the 9 defined. So it might be easier for you to look at what's not defined, because likely you're trying to live through those 2 centers at points in your life. I'm not sure. I remember how old you are, Ashley. I seem to remember born in the 80s, maybe, or mid 80s. So you're likely in your early to mid 30s. And look at, if you have a lot of centers defined, maybe look at the open centers, and that might tell you who you're trying to be that you're not really designed to be, right? So we could do that too. Open root can't stick with things. What's the other center that's open? What's your other open center? If you have the open root center and you have the other, what's the other one that's open? Spleen, emotion, could be sacral. I am 33. You're 33. That's a perfect age. 33 is when I first noticed I had gray hair coming into my blonde. It was terrible. I almost crashed and burned then because I was like, no, I'm getting old. Oh, too funny. Head and root are open. Ooh. So yours becomes an easy fix too. I guess everybody's could be. Ashley, with an open head and an open root center, you're always under pressure. The head center is a pressure center. The root center is a pressure center. Root, head, pressure. So you're pressured by the ideas and the information coming in, trying to solve things, trying to find solutions to things. And then that pressures the open root center to do things, to do anything, just to relieve the pressure. Right? So you can look at what you're doing in terms of being pressured instead of doing what really comes naturally to you, which is more in the body, right? From the ajna down to the sacral and over to the emotional center, and well, out to the spleen as well. So think about this then for you, Ashley. This is particularly, poignant for you, is when you're feeling pressure, you are in the wrong place. When you're doing things because you feel pressure to do, or when you're doing things because you feel pressure from your head to act on an idea, you're doing the wrong thing. So stop yourself, get back into your body, and discover from the body, where's the wisdom here? What's the wisdom in doing what comes next? And of course, there's more to that story. Okay, so let's see. Oh my goodness. So we have about 10 minutes. So I want to go to the Pleiadian Earth energy today because it's really interesting. Today's a one day. It is one listening. And as you might suspect, then this is the beginning of the week. And there's a 13. So for those of you new, the Pleiadian Earth energy follows a 13-day week, not one based on the Gregorian calendar either. It is based on the spiraling consciousness or spiraling evolution of consciousness. Yesterday we were at 13, and it was the final day of the week. And it is the number that we think of as ascension or completion. And then we move right there into the one, and the one energy of listening. So here is the voice of the cosmos. Today we can hear the voice of the cosmos. That's what universally is the one, new beginning. The earth energy is listening, and so we're all listening for the voice of the cosmos, the voice of God, you could say, the voice from source. I don't care what you call it, it's the voice from on high. We're waiting to hear, we're listening with everything that we have to what's correct for us, coming from our intuition, maybe coming from source, the cosmos. It is also the void or the abyss, right? This is that empty place. What am I going to fill with that in that empty place? I'm listening to the voice to tell me what it is that is correct for me to do. It is where the individual, me, you as individuals, merge with the bigger, wider cosmos, where we discover that we are a piece, even though we may have only one little crystal, we are a part of the bigger crystal, right? Bigger crystal shattered into smaller little pieces. You are a piece, but you are also a part of the whole. And we're releasing the illusions of the third dimension and tapping into higher truths, universal truths, the big T truths, right? The real truth of who we are, where we've come from, what is the nature of our lives, etc. So that is the energy that is beginning the week. So this is an impulse energy. It moves out for all 13 days, right? Every day has another little piece of that it's building. But for the next 13 days, we are tuning in to the cosmos. Now, when we express this energy in the lower frequency, we may be overly cautious. We may be given to self-doubt. We may be pessimistic. Instead of optimistic, we're pessimistic, and we're self-doubting, right? Those are the lower frequencies that could be coming up from this energy. Don't beat yourself up if that's what's coming up. Look deeper. What am I not hearing correctly from the voice on high here? And in the highest expression of this day, of this week in general, is the deep knowing and trust in the universe, where we become responsible, not responsible, but responsible, where we are in fact responsible about what it is that we're doing. We are in response to what is showing up from the voice of the cosmos. We are conscientious, right? We recognize the interconnectedness of everything and how what I do affects the next piece and how that spreads out around the world, right? So, and then there's also a theme of success that runs through here, right? In this, which I find interesting. Success. When we listen and we move in the direction, we don't put up a fuss, like remember Mars at 53, where you don't dissipate your energy by fighting against what the impulse is, what the voice is, what your truth is. When you don't fight against that and you go with the flow, your Libra scales love that, right? Everything's in harmony. So There you have it. For a day that I thought didn't have much to say, I found a lot to say. I hope everybody is okay, that I haven't given you over much to think about. And Sarah says spline and root are the only ones, spleen and root are the only ones to find. So for you, Sarah, it's about enduring to success. You have energy to endure until you reach success, to wade through all the fears, to wade through all of the things that aren't true about you, and to come out into the energy of success. You're here to endure to success. Whatever it is that you're doing, you might be a dancer, you could be a whatever, but the whole point is for you to endure, to stick with it, persevere, using your type and your strategy, because if those are the only two, then you're a projector. So you have to make sure you're following the right impulses, right? The right thing to respond with, or the right invitation to take up and move with. So that's what you're here to do, to endure, to stick with it until you have success. For some of you, the spleen is open and success isn't a big thing for you. It's not what drives you, right? We think, this is me talking, but we think that success is our motivator. But I guarantee you it isn't for some of you out there. Unless you have a defined spleen, success isn't really the motivation. You may think it is because of the world's conditioning. You're conditioned to believe that success is what you're after. But for you, Sarah, really success is what you're after. And success doesn't mean like you're at the pinnacle, you're, famous. Success is whatever it is you define it to be. What is success for me? Well, I don't have a defined spleen, but who else had? Someone else had a defined spleen. What success is to you is what determines whether or not you're successful, not what someone else thinks is success, right? So she's a projector 1-3. Yeah, 1-3. So you investigate and then you go out and experience, right? That's your role, is that of an investigative martyr. The investigator 1 goes out and digs deep into the information that's available, looks up has resources. You're probably on the internet a lot. You're probably looking through resource books. You're contemplating different ideas, and before you take action, you're researching. You're kind of the researcher there. But the third line profile is also the experiencer. Once you've done the research, then you got to go out and take action. You got to experience and experiment. In a way, you are here to experience life as sort of a cornucopia. I'll take that apple, I'll take those grapes, I'll take that squash, and then if I don't like it, I leave it alone and go on to the next fruit or on to the next experience, right? That's your path. Sarah says, I don't like flashy careers for sure, but if you did, you could find success. But you could find success as a toilet cleaner. I mean, it's about you and what you feel is making you success. What is it? How do you define success? So, all right, guys, I've given you a lot today. I almost feel like I threw too much out at you, but I feel like we're also on an express train or express bus to enlightenment, or that we must be in order to, go through these next months and the next year, to be sure, maybe the next 2 years. And I'm giving you all the tools to do that. And it starts with really knowing who you are at the bottom level. Who am I? When you know that, then you can soar. And that's what I want for all of you. And if you have any questions, any comments or issues, I'm going to put up my Living Astrology 111 at gmail.com. That's where you can find me. Don't forget, this week, today starts the Change Your Mind, Change Your Life Summit. And I don't remember which 2 are on today. That is so bad. But I'm on Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. East Coast time. And we're going to dive deep into the mind. What is in the mind and how do we work with the mind and to change our lives, right? That's the whole key. Change your mind, change your life. All right, guys, have a great day. And I will see you all. See, tomorrow is, I may not see you guys for very long tomorrow because my grandson is doing his 8th grade promotion tomorrow. And I kind of want to go and be there for him and support him to making healthy education choices in his life. So he's he's great, but he's so not into school, right? He's so different. He's operating on a completely different channel, and the education system isn't quite ready for the kids that are on that operating system. And but I want to support him, so I may be here, but for a very short time before I have to leave to go to his promotion. All right, guys, take care. Have a great day. See you later. Bye bye.